We are back for day 28 of our Inktober Zentangle challenge, and I'm really glad that you've chosen to join us today as well. Now, I'm going to spare you the terrible dad jokes and the rotten puns, and we're going to get right into the drawing today. But I hope that the tips and tricks that we show you will be helpful as you continue to work on your own Inktober composition. Let's get started. Today's Tangle is an official Zentangle pattern called Quandary. And at first glance, it may look very simple because it consists of a single seed or rice shape. It's sometimes called a rice or seed shape. And we use this in a lot of different tangles, even a bunch of them so far this Inktober. But the challenge with Quandary is not creating this humble shape, but it's creating the pattern that completes this tangle. And the pattern is a composition of 6 of these seed shapes. And they are laid together in what is like a star or an asterisk shape. And I'm going to show you this here in a simple form, because once we get this basic asterisk shape, we then draw that same seed on all of these outer edges, or that rice shape. And as often I do on my Post-it notes, I'm doing this kind of sloppy just to show you something. But so we have a basic star pattern that's capped off with the same shape. And that creates our core shape for this pattern. But let's take a little closer look, because this can get complex when we try to expand on it. So one thing that might be helpful, maybe it'll be confusing, I hope not, but at first glance it looks like, when you see the step out, that if you create each little rice shape as though it is a side of a triangle, that you could just lay it out in the same way as our Tripoli shape. And at first glance, like I said, that seems good. The problem comes in that you can't use the little rice shapes side by side like this, because you'll end up with way too many way too many little rice shapes. So really what you're doing is you're drawing your rice shapes in the place where the space of Tripoli would be. And I'm using this red pen just to show you the difference here on this pattern. So you see here, we're not really drawing Tripoli. Even if we draw these out here, we're drawing a little bit different. It's the same geometric end result, but the way we achieve it is different. So you can see here, this is the basic Quandary shape where those red items are. And that's what we want to duplicate. But we don't want to have to draw a Tripoli and then just erase it or whatever. That would be too much work. So what about creating an asterisk or star shape to begin with in pencil? Well, that would also work if we just draw our little rice or seed pattern here. We could do this. And notice that they would then be right across from each other. And that is an important factor with making this tangle pattern work. So keep that in mind here. So we draw these, and they are directly across from each other as we create that initial star shape. And then we just cap it off with more of these little seed shapes. And you want to make sure you leave just a little bit of a gap, because that is how this form or this pattern comes together. And so you're doing this. So that's another way that we can think of this tangle pattern. And I'm sorry for all the spinning of the paper there. I just wanted to show you. So you can see here now we've created the same shape in 2 completely different ways. Well, there's another way that we can create it, especially if we're expanding on this pattern. And that's by creating a grid of little orbs. And obviously if you did something like this, you would do it with a pencil that you could erase, unless you were going to make this part of your pattern, obviously, which you could do. But by creating this grid, and notice that the grid, I've created little orbs spaced apart in line with each other, and then I go across to the center or between those 2 orbs and create the same kind of line, and then just repeat that process. So then once you would have that little grid laid out, you simply create these little rice shapes in between those orbs in every direction. So there would be one here too, of course, and one here. And so it's just a matter of connecting in every direction that you can in a straight line, of course. And notice these are straight across from each other, straight across, straight across, straight across, and so on. And these are all straight. These are all straight. So it's very important in order to get this pattern correct that we understand how it's assembled and how it comes together. But if we don't want to draw a grid and we don't want to draw a bunch of stars, or even if we did do these, how are we going to expand this into the area that we have? Well, I want to show you at least one way that I have come up with for drawing this in a repetitive way. So we would start with that initial star shape, and I'm just going to freeform it here so you can see what happens when you do this, because it's not terribly easy to do, to keep this in a nice clean pattern. And I just want to show you this in a very basic sense. So I've created my little star pattern, and now I'm doing what I call capping off the star pattern by the same shape in every piece. Now I've already done this, I realize, but I want to just show you this creation process here. So we cap all these little gaps that we created with our initial star shape. And so we have our first pattern that we did by freehand. Well, what if we want to draw another of this base pattern and just keep it all connected? Of course, I could draw another one over here or one down here that's not connected, but if we want to extend on this, the easiest way that I can suggest to you is to do this. Pick an angle from your star, let's say this way, and simply extend it by another rice shape, and now complete your star based on this. So now I'm going to draw one here right across there. I'm going to draw one here right across from here. And you'll see already now I have the 6 pieces of rice, if you will, that created another pattern. So then I just cap it off. Now, once I've capped it off, I have 2. Of course, they share pieces of rice, but I have 2 of those completed patterns. So now if I wanted another one, I just pick a direction again. Let's say go this way. And I extend it by 1 piece of rice. And now let's complete my little star shape. So I have 1 line here. I'll need 1 here. And I would need 1 here. Now guess what? We just cap it off again. And as we cap it off, try to be mindful of where these other pieces are that might be connected in the larger shape. And that will help you. Now, as you grow this shape, it becomes more difficult to keep everything symmetrical. But let's do one more just so you can see. So let's say I want to extend one out this direction, okay? So I do it out here. Now I have a line there. I need to create a line here for my little star. And then we're going to go out this way. Now if I complete now and cap this off, you see what's happening? These are getting a little bit out of alignment with each other. But they technically are the ones that should be aligned. So I point that out because once I cap all these off here, because those got a little bit out of alignment, remember it was these 2 pieces, if I go to extend it out this way, now look, I have this and I have this. It's already done. But I might be tempted to say, ooh, I need to draw one across here, but look, they have to share this. So all that's happened is my shapes have started to get a little bit wonky with each other. But if I cap this off and cap this off, I've already extended that now into multiple patterns. Well, I hope that's helpful. I know that can be confusing, but really review what I just did. Rewind the video if you need to, and look at what I'm talking about, creating that base pattern, which is just on that grid. If you can see that underlying grid was right here. This was our little star or asterisk that I talked about, and then we simply cap off each end of it. But once you understand that that is the pattern, then creating it over and over and over can be done in a handful of different ways depending on what makes most sense and is most comfortable to you. So looking at my layout as it's been coming along, I've decided to add just a very few of the Quandary shapes down here to complement or go along with my Tripoli shape. All right, so let's extend this. I'm going to extend it out this way. Create my lines. And I've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, see, I need one more. I need this one right here. I didn't have my full pattern there. Just like that. Now I can cap it. Almost done, actually, with where I'm going to do it. I think I'll extend one piece right here and then cap this and maybe put this one here. At this time, I'm going to stop with this, and let me just say that in terms of shading of Quandary, the step out simply shows like a border type shading where a shadow is created, but it doesn't really shade the little rice shapes themselves in any meaningful way, at least not in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with it. You could try to embellish these little seed shapes. You could even ink them in. You could make them all, fill them in black if you wanted to, if you needed more drama and thought that that would enhance your layout. That's another option as well. You could do something, put orbs in these. You could shade the ends of them or in the center, etc. Very simplistic ways. But I actually am going to wait on the shading because I may be doing something with color in the background as a final step for my layout. And of course, I'll show all that to you. But if I do that, it may affect what I'd like to do with the Quandary shape. So right there, what we'll do is we'll just take a look at Gayle's and see what she has done. What have you got for us, Gayle?
Pretty much the same.
The same thing.
They got a little wonky, but...
No, not too bad at all. This is a tough tangle to do and to keep those pieces absolutely consistent and in the perfect alignment. It's just a real challenge for most people, including myself. You've done very nice, though, continuing your Tripoli.
Yeah, thanks.
And your sizing here is nice. I love the way it's tucked in behind. You did a great job with that.
Thank you.
And this just continues. It's almost like, I like how the darker, then the lighter, and then the super light.
Yeah.
It's almost like these pieces are just falling apart and tumbling off your page. Let me zoom in so people can see that. I think that's a really neat effect. I don't know if it was intentional.
Accidental.
Accidental. Okay, well we'll give you credit for it. Nice heavy shapes. They get a little lighter and even lighter yet, and it looks like they're just tumbling off the page. I think that's a great effect. And so let's look at that side by side here now with mine. I guess mine has a similar effect of that, but it's just not quite as effective as yours. Let me see here. Let's do it. Can we do it this way? There we go. That's a little better, a little easier to see that way. So similar effect, actually, as we did that, but because yours are larger and spaced in different places, it looks just really neat that way. But there it is, folks, our side-by-side comparison. Thank you, Gayle.
You're welcome.
And with that, we will be finished with today's session, but I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for joining with us as we continue and as we finish up this month over the next few days. I'm so grateful that you've had fun with us, and I look forward to hearing more from you in the days ahead. Until then, take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.